please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
And, it is somewhere around that mark only. 10,735, 736 is what we have. But let's see if it seeks lower levels or higher levels. 729 now, so 727, 10,725. So just trying to align with the SGX Nifty rate, down about 45 points. Let's say somewhere around 10,725 is the first equilibrium. On the Bank Nifty, it's weaker than what the pre-open bargained for. 26,400 is what we have as far as that is concerned, and mid-caps have opened in line. In terms of index stocks, let's start with losers first. Asian Paints is down about 1.5%. Hindalco is down 1%. BP and HP are both down actually because of crude prices, of course. ICICI Bank, Larsen & Toubro both down. HDFC a bit soft. Indiabulls Housing a bit soft. So housing finance is seeing a bit of a pressure. Tata Steel is down a bit. HP, BP and IOC are now the biggest losers. In fact, all approaching 2% cuts now. So that really is your space to keep an eye on. On the way up, perhaps on expected lines, Tech Mahindra is your biggest gainer, up about 1%. It's got HCL Tech and TCS for company, and Dr. Reddy's is the other one, which is up 1%. 10,725 is where we have the first equilibrium on the Nifty, Sonia.
Okay, yes. In fact, it's falling now for the mid-caps. So mid-caps are down about 0.5%, not looking good at all. So this rally was quite short-lived and it's now getting sold into. The advanced decline ratio is in favor of decline. So 624 stocks on the declining side. If you look at the list of mid-cap losers, you have a lot of pharma stocks, Dishman Pharma, Stride Shasun, all in the red right now. A lot of real estate stocks, Godrej Properties, Brigade Enterprises, Purvankara, all down about 1 to 3 odd %. And, if you look at the gainers as well, it makes you a bit uncomfortable. So names like Vakrangi, GVK Power, Inox Wind, Kaplan Point, UCO Bank are the ones that are gaining. And what is common between all of them is that these are the stocks that have eroded about 50% wealth this year. So it's quite weak actually in the mid-cap space. Now, I also want to point out that there is increased momentum on the downside in the real estate space. We were speaking with Prestige Estates yesterday. They spoke about the changes in the accounting policy of real estate companies. Ind AS will now be applicable. And, that would mean changing of the way they report their numbers as well. There could be some losses they may have to take. So all of this is putting pressure on real estate companies, all down about 2 to 3 odd %. But should be anything else that you're spotting?
I'm just looking at this mid-cap pressure building up, Sonia, that you referred to as well. It's all down. V-Mart, add more names. Of course, Manpasand, these are other stocks. Quality is straight away down 5% on circuit. Not too many winners on the upside, at least for now. So, Anuj, what's the sense? I mean, this kind of feels like 2 steps forward and again, then one big step back. What would you say?
Also, no one can beat Rajni, it seems. PVR is making highs of the morning already. So that stock is up about 1.5% right now. But, on expected lines, Surabhi, I would say. Issue here is it's already had a gap down. So what to do here? Ashwani, 160 down on the Bank Nifty, 45 down on the Nifty. You would wait for a recovery, or are you already short?
We've taken short positions on Bank Nifty because it's very clear that again rate sensitives, NBFCs, etc. everything. And at best, maybe IT or metals, etc. could outperform. But clearly, all rallies should be sold into, particularly things like Canfin, Home, etc., which had fairly large rallies the other day. So all banks are in the negative. All of these housing finance, NBFCs are negative. So this way, I think whatever bounce back you are getting should allow you to take significant short positions. HDFC Bank is now coming off. So there's an overall risk off on the rate sensitive side.
Okay, overall risk off on the rate sensitive side. Yes, a lot of stocks actually pressure is building up now. Especially these Adani group stocks, Adani Transmission, Adani Power, both down about 2 to 3 odd %. Prakash Gaba, any thoughts on the opening? I mean, we were fearing this, right? That this rally would be a suckers rally. We spoke about it yesterday. What would you do now?
I'll wait for a reaction. If we get one reaction or maybe a sideways movement, that could be a one more shorting opportunities if you have missed the first one. I would still look that Canfin Him certainly is looking weak. We can see a move down to around 352 or 354 zones possible. Coal India and Cipla seems to be looking up. I would look at perhaps Cipla. That can climb to around 550 zones. That looks good.
Okay. Some recovery from the lows on the index, actually. Slight recovery. Tech Mahindra, Bharti, Infosys, and Anuj called this about IT, thanks to perhaps the sentiment around the rupee, Infosys is a big one on the move. Ashwani, then what's the big call for the day?
The big call is that start to sell on Bank Nifty and rate sensitives. IT is okay, it's moving up a little bit, but often these rallies tend to get sold into. So the bigger trade is clearly on the rate sensitives, housing finance, NBFC, because the weight of these guys on the index is probably a bit more than the IT stocks. If the market has to give way, then everything needs to go. So this initial bounce back, is giving you some opportunity to get short. I don't think you will have a major bounce back, because in that case the Bank Nifty wouldn't have opened so poorly. So like yesterday was a trend day on the upside on Bank Nifty, today could be a trend day on the downside.
Oh, yes, that's possible. By the way, IT really is the one which is holding the market, and especially mid-cap IT. Just take a look at some of these names now. KPIT Tech, Hexaware, Tata Elxsi. These are three stocks in particular. You see these three stocks. KPIT Tech now up about 1.5%. That's Hexaware moving higher, and Tata Elxsi as well. The point here is that if you bought here at open, you're making money because today you have a big macro theme working for you. Crude has gone up, rupee has made a move, and that's why a lot of money. And IT has sort of corrected while banks have moved up, so that trade has sort of reversed again. So that could be working here. Final thoughts then from Mitesh, you as well, or any interesting stock?
In fact, we've added something on the long side, barring the Bank Nifty as an index, which we've taken some put option positions. I think Steel Authority and Tata Motors opened weak, so the gap down was used to buy into, and also a couple of IT names look very, very interesting. As I mentioned, I think Tech Mahindra is on the verge of breakout above the 715 zone. So maybe once it crosses that, I think a long call can be taken there as well.
Okay, well, gentlemen, thanks a lot for stopping by and taking us through your views. It's not a good opening for the market at all. In fact, the Bank Nifty is really cracking now. It's dragging the index lower. ICICI Bank, Yes Bank, Axis Bank are all your big laggards in trade. But let's invite our market master now. Pradeep Shah, the chairman and founder of Indasia Fund Advisors, is with us. Pradeep, hi, good morning. Do you see this market headed lower in the near term?
Good morning. Yes, it's inevitable. While we are doing very well in terms of demand, the pent-up demand of the last 2 years because of demat and demonetization and GST and so on, it is now actually the elections that will drive the outlook for the market as a whole, because there is some uncertainty with all the by-elections and even the Karnataka polls showing that perhaps there's some loss of popularity for the BJP government, and that may translate into lower votes, and in which case what happens to the ability of the government to implement structural changes. And also oil at $76 a barrel and our current account deficit going haywire, obviously there is concern on that front. And I think Reserve Bank's recognition of this inflation effect is also a pointer that, look, if inflation goes up, then it is a spoil sport for everyone. So I think the market is not going to take heart from just the existing demand, which was expected anyway, and so prices had already run up for that reason.
Okay, the stock of the moment now is NIT Tech once again, and it happens, with this stock early on, especially with the way the currency is moving. In fact, today's all a macro play. Everything is moving on account of rupee, and if you see the sectoral moves, that's happening. Look at that move on that one, huge volumes. Mr. Shah, good morning. IT has done well, but is that still the space to be?
Well, that's one way to play this currency depreciation in part. Also in part, it's the IT companies themselves that are transforming themselves. They are no longer just application development service providers, just using cheaper labor to support a client overseas. What they're doing is offering total solutions with domain knowledge and with often intellectual property rights attached to their own products. And together they offer a great solution which is cost effective and very well received by the customers. So that change is also reflected in profitability, sustainability of their business, and of course the currency drop helps. So I think the IT definitely stocks are worth appreciated for that reason.
Pradeep, this whole mid-cap issue that kind of cropped up upon us, first it was mutual funds churning, and then there were auditor resignations, etc. Would you say for the rest of this year at least, would you advise more money going into large caps, or do you think this is perhaps the time where you can get into mid-caps and still make much better alpha?
No, I think in the market correction there will be golden opportunity for investors to pick up good managements, mid-cap stocks, where there's good management, where there's a product, where there's a demonstrated track record of achievement, and they will be available at much more reasonable prices. Don't forget, we did have a big run-up in prices in the mid-cap scripts in the last 2 years. And so a correction will bring them to a fairer value. They still enjoy growth. They still have the ability to grow faster than the market, as it were. And so I think selectively there will be opportunities. And you were just talking a little while ago about companies like Quality and so on, where they've lost the confidence of the market because of their own practices. Now, if companies that are well run maintain the confidence of the market by their strategies, policies, and consistent behavior, they will be good targets for investment.
Okay, well, the stock that's really surging now is Tech Mahindra. Remember, it's been the big mover this year. It's up almost 45% for the year. And today as well, it's up almost about 2.5%, topping the charts this morning. And Future Group stocks also looking pretty good, actually. Future Consumers is now up almost about 2%. The market is making an attempt to recover, so it's getting very volatile by the minute. Don't lose sight of that. Pradeep, if you want to build if one wants to build a portfolio now, where are the spaces that you think one should invest into?
No, so you've mentioned IT space, then you just mentioned about consumer products business. Of course, if there is a correction in value, today consumer product companies are being valued at 40 and higher multiples. Those are excessive multiples. There will be some companies which have a plan of introducing new products and have an army of new product introductions, and who will therefore gain in market share, which can be good bets at those multiples, but otherwise you will have to look for lower multiples. And in this correction, if some of those multiples get corrected, then of course there will be individually good targets. But as a sector, consumer sector, of course, is a good sector. Similarly, I think the pharma sector is beaten down, and certainly with all the policy pronouncements coming out of government, with the Jan Aushadhi competing on the distribution side, and of course price control on all drugs and so on, there is a little uncertainty. I think that uncertainty will get resolved in the next few months, and that's when people will look again at opportunities in the pharma sector.
Okay, by the way, just take a look at stocks like Jet Airways. Now the moves are reversing. Yesterday it had a rally, but now with crude moving up, and as we discussed, today is a play essentially on macros, crude and rupee, and that of course is making a move. So that one is down about 2% right now. Oil marketing companies also at the lowest point. So it's becoming increasingly difficult for some of these companies. Last month also we had that big ATF price hike, and that could continue. So some of these stocks making fresh lows. In that case, Pradeep, what should be the investor expectation for this year? Last year, of course, everyone's got spoiled by 40-50% jump in their portfolios. This year, the market's reverting back to mean.
Yes, so I think you will not expect that kind of, I wouldn't expect that kind of growth in valuations this year. But selective companies, again, if you've done well in identifying companies, you will get decent returns. But as a large portfolio, it will be difficult. For institutions, for instance, it becomes difficult to invest only in mid caps. They have to go into larger caps and so on. And so their portfolio, they will be resigned, and they'll have to resign themselves to more modest more modest performance, and outperformance will come from some of these select picks that they do, which have been beaten down, which have better value but are not recognized in the market. So those will give them outperformance. So overall, I think the markets will tend to drift downward as a whole, but individual scripts within that can perform better because of their own operations.
Okay. All right, Pradeep, we'll have to leave it at that. Thanks so much for joining us and taking us through your views. For now, the market is holding up. At least the selling pressure has not accelerated. It's down but not out, down about 35 points on the Nifty. But here's a quick programming reminder. Today, our special series Hunting for Value has kick-started, and we'll be tracking a large Nifty company today whose stock has lost 15% this year. Is there value emerging, or could it be a trap for investors? Those are the questions we're asking. All the details at 9:50 a.m. this morning. Be sure to stay tuned in. For now, a quick break. We will return with some corporates on our radar. Stay tuned.